Welcome to Dad Talk Today. The podcast for dads facing some of the toughest moments of their lives. We are here to walk with men through divorce, keep them connected to their kids, help them understand their rights, and work for change in family law courts. Moms, you are always welcome too. We are all about advocating for shared parenting and doing what is best for our kids. Here is your host, Eric Carroll.
Hey everybody, welcome to Dad Talk Today. I am Eric Carroll and I am joined with King Randall. King, what's up, man?
Man, what's going on, boss? How you doing?
Hey man, we're doing all right. It's been a long weekend, hasn't it?
Yeah, getting a little tired now.
Yeah, a lot of amazing stuff. So I was over there and I was recording with America's Voice News and I heard somebody say they was from Albany.
Yeah, Albany. That's how we say it.
That's it, man. I heard of Albany. I'm from Columbus, Georgia. So we're from the same neck of the woods. Not only are we from the same neck of the woods, we're kind of dealing in some of the same issues. Tell everybody about what you're doing.
All right, well, my name is King Randall. I work with the X for Boys in Albany, Georgia. I'm the founder. I founded this organization when I was 19 years old, which was 2 years ago, so I'm 21 now. But I started taking juveniles from juvenile court system as well as young men from around our community, and I started taking custody of them at my house and teaching them the skill trades, teaching them how to work on cars, work on houses, to grow their own food, protect their women and children, things of that nature. So I'm basically teaching the traditional family, and one of our mottos is let us make man. And our other motto is make men great again. So I definitely believe in making sure that our boys are learning how to be men, because a lot of our boys do not know how it is to have a father in the home, especially with 98% of the young men that I come into contact with don't have fathers at home. And so we're looking at the crime rate and the poverty rate, etc. All this is because of lack of fathers. And I do believe men should be responsible for some children that are not theirs. I do believe if more men took up the mantle of getting children that may not be theirs or they may know in the neighborhoods, I think things would be better. And you don't necessarily even just have to house them like I do. You can do something small, such as picking up a kid from school every day. Talk to their parents and say, hey, can I take him to school every day? And talk to them every day, mentor them, take them out to eat, get some food. Just small things that you can plant seeds in their lives. But I think things like this are important. And right now, ever since we got invited to the White House by President Trump, the conservative movement has gotten behind what we've been doing in Albany, Georgia, and now we're actually about to open our own boarding school in Albany. So we come from bunk beds in my living room all the way to having our own facility now. But that goes to show if we keep having big boy faith, one of our quotes, big boy faith, and keep believing in God, we can make things happen. Absolutely.
You give me so much faith, man, because there's this narrative of the deadbeat dad. Mm-hmm. Anytime that he's not inside of his child's life, and I've had on a former CPS worker, and I wanted to bring this up because she was really touching on this, and with the people that you're talking to, he said a lot of these kids didn't have a mom, they didn't have a dad, and they came in through some of the most horrible situations ever.
Yep.
Then they get out, they don't know how to operate in society, they get locked up for misdemeanor or get a joint or something like that.
Right.
Then they get in there and they're dealing with all these emotional issues, and there's nobody that's there to help them process through this trauma. And we're taking these damaged kids that were victims of circumstances that they couldn't control, and trying to release them out into the world, and they don't know how to operate, and then we look at them as thugs or whatever. What are some of the things you're seeing with it?
Well, for the most part, where I live, we don't have any rehab programs except mine in Albany. And that's one of the main reasons I started it, because the kids are going to jail or going to juvenile detention centers, and there's nothing for them when they get out. There's no type of program to help them, move forward, or no types of anything, no types of brotherhood programs or anything that are trying to help the young men do better with their lives. So that was a big reason I started that. But even the literacy rate, that's a big issue as well, because like 93% of the boys I come into contact with cannot read. That's a big issue, especially where we live. And with the No Child Left Behind thing, it's breeding children that are not, being sufficient in their work and their teaching. And so what's happening is I had a 6th grader, he couldn't even read cat dog, but he's in the 6th grade. I'm like, how you even get here and you can't even read anything? Who's passing you through school? But that goes to show that somebody's not doing their part somewhere, which is why I believe I believe in doing for self. I teach all the time that we should do for ourselves and our communities, because as long as we allow somebody to feed us or allow somebody to do things for us, they can always take that away at any time. But if we have our own schools, we have our own grocery stores, we have our own hospitals or what have you, we don't have to worry about anybody coming to shut us down or anything like that, because it's ours, you know. So I definitely believe in doing for self, and that's why I'm big on us opening this school, because I'm just like, we've been complaining about our school system so long in Albany, Georgia, but nobody decided, let's open up a school. We have churches that have been built from the ground up that are gigantic facilities and everything. I'm like, but y'all keep complaining about the school system. Why not open a school? You know, so I decided to do it. I told my boys when I was 19, we said, we're gonna open us up a school. I was broke at the time. We had bunk beds in my living room. We didn't know how we was gonna do it, but we decided we was gonna figure it out. And God made a way, and so now we're about to open our facility.
Let me ask you a question. So you started this at 19, you're 21 years old. Tell us about your experience growing up that this became such a passion for you.
Well, I kind of know my purpose like ever since I was a kid. I actually never tell this story, but I tell it every now and then whenever somebody asks that question. So when I was younger, I think I was about 3 or 4 years old, I was riding in the car with my grandmother, and I remember the street we were riding on, the stop sign, we stopped at and everything, but she had just come and picked me up from daycare. I think I was in pre-K, I think. And I remember the car seat I was sitting in, and we stopped at a stop sign, and she asked me, I asked her, I said, did she know how it was to have butterflies in her stomach? And I said, she said, yeah. And I asked her, I told her that I was here to finish what Dr. King started. And from that day forth, my grandmother's real spiritual. She's a pastor. She's been ministering for all her life. But she never let me forget what I said growing up. I told her, I said, maybe we watched a Dr. King video or something that day. I don't know. But ever since that day, she never let me forget what I was supposed to do. So growing up, I went to culinary school, went to the Marines, did all this, playing football, etc. My grandmother she always said, don't forget what you're here to do. You're here to finish what Dr. King started. I'm just like, Grandma, leave me alone. I was a kid, etc. Just leave me alone. I still got my letters from boot camp, all her letters saying, I don't care about you coming to the military. You know what you're here to do, and she never let me forget that. So I went to the Dr. King Memorial after I got back from boot camp, because I was just like, let me just go and try to study Dr. King and see what was going on. So I was walking through the museum, and I got to the room where the carriage was that carried his casket through the city at the time, and in there they have all these newspaper articles in the entire room from the headlines from when he died, and one stuck out to me. It was April 20th, 1968 from the Pittsburgh Courier, and it said, will a new king emerge? And that's why all of my social media handles are New Emerging King, because I know what I'm here to do, and it's bearing witness now that I'm finishing, because I found the mistake that I believe he made. He didn't train any replacements, and so that's what I'm doing, training the replacements to go and take back our communities.
Let me tell you something, brother. It's people like you and hearing this conversation that gives me hope in this world.
Absolutely.
We don't hear much of this out of our youth, but you are a leader, and I believe there is good things coming. Tell everybody where they can keep up with what you're doing.
Absolutely. All of my social media tags are at New Emerging King, and our website is thexforboys.org. That's THE, the letter X, FORBOYS.org.
I'm going to have to make a trip down to Albany.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We'd love to have you. Yes,
there
sir.
There we go. Hey, man. So good to meet you.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Good to meet you as well.
Everybody stick around. We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We are fighting for the rights of parents worldwide. If you want to help support our podcast and for us to continue this mission, please join us at patreon.com/DadTalkToday. You will find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, CloutHub, Parler, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, the podcast app, Google, Apple Podcasts. We're a little bit of everywhere. And guys, every time you like and subscribe, you help us continue this mission. Thank you, and we will see you next time.